Hey everybody, live from Danbury, Connecticut. It's your old buddy, Uncle Rich, the truth detector, better known to some people as the truth doctor. Guys, and today's show is going to be called Prager-ism. And you're going to say, wait a minute, Prager-ism? Rich, did you just make that up? Yep. Guys, I made it up. And why? Because Dennis Prager, who does a clip, a 5-minute clip a week on YouTube and puts it on Facebook, and he does a 5-minute clip each week called Prager-U. And guys, I tell you, you know, the title of the show, I'm sorry, the topic of the show is going to be a conservative conundrum. And you're going to say, Rich, what are you talking about? A conservative conundrum. Guys, after we play some of the clips on this show, you know, a conundrum is something that's confusing and difficult to understand with no clear right answers. So a conundrum, there's no clear right answers, but guys, we got plenty of left answers, and we're going to have a lot of fun tonight. But the first clip we're going to play is Dennis Prager was on Bill Maher. And guys, he's going to come up with something in the beginning that I tell you, if we had one of those make your head spins around thing, we'd want to use it for this next clip. But we're going to have some fun with this. And this is clip number 00. So Kurt, let the party begin.
To say that men can menstruate is a lie. And that is what is said.
Well, Kirkin, I don't know if we're not loud enough out here or if we're not loud enough in the studio, but I couldn't hear that well. So could you play that again, please? And maybe if Candy's still in there, if the volume's not right out here, if she can adjust it, I'd appreciate it. So hit it again.
To say that men can menstruate is a lie. And that is what is said.
That was much better. So guys, you just had an introduction to Dennis Prager, and you saw Bill Maher, and I'm telling you, guys, when I was home watching this, I had the same effect. I said, did I just hear what I thought I heard? But now, with clip number 01, we're going to play the full 26-second clip so that you guys could enjoy it as much as I did. So, Kurt, number 1, please.
To say that men can menstruate is a lie, and that is what is said. Yes.
Wait, where did that...
You've never heard it, right? Okay, check it out, folks. Check it out. Anyone who says a man cannot menstruate is considered transphobic.
I missed this whole story.
You did?
I did.
I agree.
Tell me where are you getting this?
Just Google it. Can men menstruate?
Who is saying this? You're
who is saying it?
Google it, and who is they? And guys, this is what we're dealing with, you know? So Bill Maher called him out, and he said, and Dennis Prager said, Google it. So guess what we're going to do, guys? We're going to do still number 2. And Kurt, let's bring up that still, and you're going to see what happens. Well, there you go. And let me try to bring it up on my computer because I can't see that well. But guys, you're going to see where it says, now exactly what Dennis Prager said, I Googled, can men menstruate? And this is what happened. Male menstruation is a term used colloquially, that's a tough one, for a type of bleeding in the urine or feces reported in some tropical countries. And automatically intersex human who has a functioning menstruating womb, but external sexual organs which are on the male side of ambiguous in form. And guys, we're going to take it one step further because now we need to see what colloquial means. So guys, with this show, we learn all types of new things. But colloquial is a word or phrase that is not formal or literally. Typically one used in ordinary or familiar conversation. One like I always use, gonna, and there's yonder, what's up. So guys, the colloquialism, and here he wants to try to pass it off as men menstruating. And guys, we're gonna have a lot of fun when we play the full clip. But that's what tonight's gonna be all about. We're gonna dedicate the whole show to Dennis Prager because there's one thing that we can't, you know, he was talking with Bill Maher about the transcripts. And guys, it's so obvious what's in the transcripts about Trump, you know? But what happens is if you're a Republican, a conservative especially, you can't believe what's in print. So Kurt, let's prove my point with video number 4.
Right, look, we all heard the exact same chorus, or at least saw the same transcript. I did not see a quid pro quo, and I don't know how you did. You can say it is implied. You could say that they
It's in the transcript.
It's not in the transcript.
Okay,
Read the transcript.
This is sad.
By the way, no, it is sad. By the way, this
It's sad that we can't even
that's
agree
correct.
when it's in black and white.
No, it's sad that we can't agree on what reality is.
Exactly.
And the hatred of Trump is so great.
It's not
I
that.
think it distorts people's perception
There
of
you
reality.
go, Kurt. Nice job. Guys, the problem is conservatives live in an alternate universe. It's really simple. When you read the same thing that I'm reading and you come away with a different interpretation, why is it? Because you have to bow to the dear leader. You have to kiss Trump's ass. And I tell you, everybody's getting a little tired of kissing Trump's ass because it ain't worth it. And I want to tell you, you know, aside from, Kurt, we put up a whole new bunch of phrases. What's that, Kurt? I can't hear you now.
It's plenty big.
It's, all right. So anyway, now we're going to go to clip number 5. And this is going to be PragerU and a new concept. So guys, this is from one of my favorites on YouTube. This is from Potholder 54. Oh, and by the way, I was supposed to mention, if you like what you see on this show, and especially if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and then hit the bell. So every time we come on, you'll get the new show. So now I'm getting on the same bandwagon with everybody else. All right, but anyway, now we're going to go to my favorite. This is the guy that taught me to be specific and cite your source. And he's going to have a little to do with PragerU. So anyway, number 5, Kurt.
This is Patrick Moore giving a presentation for something called Prager University about climate change. I don't know much about Prager University, but judging from its promo, I'm sure it's a respectable academic institute.
It's called PragerU, a totally new concept in education. It's simple, and it works.
It's simple and it works. And what does it do when it works? Brainwashes the simple folk. And guys, the clips that we play tonight, and we're going to show you, because as we go on in the show, you're going to go, wait a minute. I want to see you disprove what they're saying here. And guys, that's why we call the show Who's Telling the Truth. And that's why we're going to have fun, because the next clip, we're going to show you what happens when you go to Prager University. So Kurt, number 6.
I first encountered Prager University, PragerU, when I did a video a few months ago debunking Patrick Moore.
Each week, PragerU offers a new course. Each week, we teach what isn't taught, but should be, how faith, reason, and science are fully compatible.
It's different from most universities in that it's not an accredited university. It's a video channel run by a religious talk radio host. It doesn't have a campus or any degrees. After I watched the video Science versus God, or as PragerU put it, completed the course, I didn't get a degree, but I did earn a badge. I'm wearing it now.
So you went to Prager University, and it didn't cost you anything, but you got a badge. Now, how many people went to Trump University and got nothing? They got nothing but debt. And guys, what was the one thing that Trump would always said about Trump University? I never settle a suit. Never. I never settle a suit. Well, once again, Uncle Joey, Kenny Johnson, this is how he lies to you, and you don't care. The only thing you care about is not having Democrats in office. Trump can say or do whatever he wants. You don't care. It's not important to you. And that's what brings me to the table. So now we're going to have some fun exposing Trump, the guy that never settles. So Kurt, number 7, please.
He'd vowed never to settle, staunchly defending his Trump University project. But Donald Trump has now agreed to pay $25 million to settle fraud lawsuits over the real estate seminars in what New York's Attorney General called a stunning reversal. The lawsuits in New York and California had dogged Trump throughout his campaign.
A very important part of our willingness to compromise this case was the acknowledgement that there was no fault or liability on the part of President-elect Trump or Trump University.
So why did you settle
There
then?
had been no determination.
Why didn't you
of the
fight it,
merits
you
of this case.
weasel?
Everybody who was enrolled in this school and who wants their money back will get over half their money back at a minimum.
Over
and
half?
Perhaps up to all of their money back. So
Perhaps up
we're
to
very
all their
pleased with the
how
outcome.
nice of them.
Students claimed they were lured by false promises into paying hefty fees to learn investing secrets from hand-picked instructors. By settling, Trump, who denies any wrongdoing, avoids a trial due to have started this month.
Guys, false promises and exaggerated claims. That's what you get with Trump. And you saw, lying to Trump is like having a normal conversation with anybody else. I think that the man is so sick he doesn't know when he's lying. He lives in an alternate universe. But anyway, all right, the next clip we're gonna play is What If I Told You? And guys, you're gonna hear what Prager wants to tell you, and then you're gonna hear, later we're gonna hear from Potholder 54, we're gonna hear the truth. So Kurt, number 8, please.
What if I told you that someone had developed an energy source that could help us solve our biggest environmental challenges? Purify our water and air, make our cities and homes more sanitary,
This sounds too
and
good to be
keep us
true.
safe from potential catastrophic climate change.
Wait a minute.
What if I also told you that this energy source was cheap, plentiful, and reliable?
Sounds too
Well,
good to be true.
there is such a source.
There is?
You probably know it.
What is
as
it?
fossil fuel.
Oh, come on.
Oil, natural gas, coal.
You mean the stuff
But wait,
that's ruining the environment?
Don't fossil fuels pollute our environment and make our climate unlivable?
They don't?
That, of course, is what we're told.
Uh-oh.
And what our children are told.
Uh-oh. Somebody ain't telling the truth. But guys, what we're going to do, we're going to have a lot of fun because I'll tell you, we're going to give them the old bada bing, but like gentlemen. Nah, maybe not so much like gentlemen tonight. Nah, I can't be nice to everybody as I am to Chris Ponte. You know, poor Chris. I'm telling you. I don't know if he's got, I tell you, if I believed there was a God, I'd say a prayer for him. All right, so anyway, the next clip, once again, what if I told you, and Kurt, we did number 8, right? Okay, well, the next clip, number 9, is going to be, what do our children think? And this first person you're going to see, I'm sure her name, Greta Thunberg, right, Kurt? And her name and her picture are indelibly pressed into the social fabric. So, Kurt, let's have number 9, please.
Because these numbers are too uncomfortable, and you are still not mature enough to tell it like it is.
Not mature enough?
You are failing us. But the young people are starting to understand your betrayal.
Don't mess
the
with
eyes
the kids.
of all future generations are upon you. And if you choose to fail us, I say we will never forgive you.
We'll never forgive you. Guys, it's what I say all the time, like when Uncle Joey's grandkids come to him and they say, Grandpa, what did you do to prevent global warming? And what's Uncle Joey's answer going to be? I denied it. Why? I had to. Why? Because I'm a Republican. Why? I don't know. I just am. And I hope you'll be a Republican. No, Grandpa, I can't do this. I can look at a temperature chart, and I can see on the temperature chart that you're wrong, Grandpa. Guys, I did that to see how nimble Kurt was. I caught him off guard. But anyway, so the next clip we're going to do is when you don't know how to trick somebody, you use language that really confuses them. Language like a fallacy of equivocation. Before, I won't explain it. We'll play the video. So, Kurt, number 10, please.
This raises another problem with the statement, 97% of climate scientists agree that climate change is real. It tells us nothing about the meaning or magnitude of climate change, whether it's a mild, manageable warming or a runaway, catastrophic warming. This is an example of the fallacy of equivocation, using the same term in different, contradictory ways.
Using the same term in contradictory different ways. In other words, confusing the simple folk. You tell them something like a fallacy. Oh, that's a fallacy of equivocation. Oh, he must know what he's talking about. No, he doesn't know what he's talking about, and he wants to make sure that you don't, because the only thing they want to do is create doubt. That's the whole idea. Create a little doubt. Well, you know, we don't know about this fallacy of equivocation. We don't? Oh, okay. Well, guys, there are things that we do know, and one is what percentage of people think there's a gap between the real science and the census or the polls. So, Kurt, let's see what now this is in Australia. This is John Cook in Australia. So the people aren't talking stupid. That's the way they talk. So anyway, number 11, Kurt. So why is there a consensus gap? It's simple. Because we have homeschooled simple folk that watch Fox News and don't care about the planet. You've got conservatives that aren't concerned about conserving the planet. What more do you have to say about somebody that gets something ass backwards than conservatives? I mean, it's all right there. You can't miss it. And guys, we're going to take it one step further because, believe it or not, Dennis Prager has come out and put out a movie. So first we're going to play you a little teaser, and then we're actually going to play you the trailer at the end of the show. And guys, I tell you, when you see this, you go, holy, you got to be kidding me. But no, we don't kid on this show. We tell you the truth. So Kurt, number 12, please.
The only way we separate good ideas from the bad ideas is to be free to say whatever we want about them.
That's
Anything
right.
you say will be used against you.
There's no free speech for fascists.
No free speech for a fascist. And guys, I have to agree. I mean, when you start to think and act like a fascist, I'm sorry. We can't tolerate it. And guys, I think I've told everybody the story. I've told the story before on the show. When I was a little kid, and I'm going to say probably the second grade because this happened in front of the public school, and I know I started going to the Catholic school when in second grade, so I remember. So it really had to be the first grade, and it was one of those steamy mornings, you know, where all the windows got foggy and people were writing stuff on the windows. You know what you do when you're a kid. You know, I loved whatever, and, you you just do kid stuff. Guys, somebody had written a Nazi sign on the window. And the bus driver, probably a veteran, saw that, and I want to tell you, he was visibly, when I say visibly, he was pissed. And he no retribution against the kid, aside from the fact, in no uncertain terms, he let him know, don't you ever even think about putting that sign on this bus or anywhere close to it. I'm sure he saw a lot of his buddies get killed over that Nazi sign. But now we got the conservatives, and guys, I tell you, the world's upside down. We got everything ass backwards. And why? Because of people like Dennis Prager. And when as the show goes, now we're going to be playing the full clips. As we go along, you're going to say, wow, Rich, I see your point. I understand where you're coming from. And guys, we don't want to stop somebody like this. We just want to make fun of them, embarrass them, so that they stop with the nonsense. So that people like Chris Ponte don't put clips up on his show. And people like Marty don't text me on Facebook and say, oh, I think Dennis Prager does beautiful videos. I like the guy a lot. Marty, you would like a piece of crap if it had an R after it. On the way down here, I'm listening to the local radio station. And the guy's talking about, well, what about Trump getting reelected? What about Trump getting reelected? What about Trump making it to Christmas before he gets impeached and thrown in prison? And now he's got to show his taxes. New York State said, come up with them, buddy. And Trump refuses. Why? He refuses to show everything. Why? What's he hiding? It's that simple. If Trump was clean, fellas, here's my taxes. Look at me, one of the best businessmen that ever walked the face of the earth. But no. Why? Because he's a failure. And we saw parts of his return, 10 years of his return to where he lost $10 billion. How do you bankrupt 4 casinos and consider yourself successful? When you can't win with the house's money, guess what? Time to get out of the business. Time to do something else. All right, so anyway, I feel so much better. Now we're going to go to the full clips, and we're going to start off with Dennis Prager, blowing everybody's brains out with this men's menstrual nonsense. So, Kurt, let the party begin with number 20.
To say that men can menstruate is a lie, and that is what is said.
Wait, where did that?
You've never heard it, right? Okay, check it out, folks. Check it out. Anyone who says a man cannot menstruate is considered transphobic.
I missed this whole story.
You did?
I did.
I agree.
Now tell me where are you getting this?
Just Google it. Can men menstruate?
Who is saying this? You're
Who
talking
is
about
saying
a very small percentage.
Really? Then how do you allow men, biological men, to run against women in the races in Connecticut and set all the high school records? They're called men.
No.
The Nation magazine said they're women.
Okay, but I would agree with you on that. The way you framed it is nonsense.
The way you framed it.
Perfectly accurately.
No, you didn't. What you're talking about is, yes, someone who is transgendered, was a man, now claims to be a woman, is a woman, okay, is beating the dog shit out of other women in the race because, of course, they have more muscle mass. And even Martina Navratilova came out and said, this is ridiculous. You might as well not have women's sport. This is a far cry from saying men can menstruate.
I agree.
But that's not where anyone went with that, but you.
Not true.
Okay.
At the University of Berkeley men's room, tampons are given out. Check it out. UC Berkeley men's rooms have tampon dispensers.
Would you say,
That's
Dennis,
probably because men are pussy whipped and their girlfriend said, go get me a tampon. That's why. That's a much more logical... Okay, all right. Moving on to the next. Dennis, I remember you in the old show. You were a little more reasonable.
What did I say that wasn't under you? You
said that we think that men menstruate and no one does. We never even... Have you heard about it?
I'm a doctor. I missed that one, I confess.
And this is one of the premier reporters. I mean, he knows everything. These people are very... He's a doctor.
Okay.
He's one of the
I would make a friendly bet that the LGBTQ normative statement is men can menstruate.
With North America generating most... I'm
glad you think that's
okay. All right, let's talk about another kind of gusher. With North America...
What's happening here?
Guys, it must be tough. I mean, it's got to. I mean, you see the fun I'm having, right? But like Bill Maher said, it's a far cry from saying that men menstruate, you know, and the way he framed it, and you wonder, you wonder why Marty or Chris you wonder where they come up with this stuff. Where do they get it from? They get it from people like Dennis Prager. And you saw it. Guys, you saw the clip. You know, we didn't pull any punches. We didn't add any. We played it. You saw it. But you know what? That wasn't the end of it, because now Dennis Prager gets into more about Trump and Ukraine and all the stuff that went on. So we're just going to keep having fun with number 21. So Kurt, hit it.
Okay, have you seen the testimony of all the people who've come so far?
Yeah.
They've all said quid pro quo. This is what happened.
And they've also moved forward because it started to get repetitive because so many people were confirming what actually is the accusation.
This is what
Trump is toast.
You're making talking points from 3 weeks ago. Now we've had Bill Taylor. This guy, you saw that.
Yeah.
Vindeman, he was listening to the call. This guy, Toni Morrison, today, they all said, yes, he did this. This is not a...
And by the way, it's not even a quid pro quo. It's extortion. He basically said,
unless you... I like that.
And you know what? I was in the State Department. We used to do quid pro quos too, and the quid pro quo was in exchange for you treating people better, for you demonstrating human rights, for having rule of law, then we will help you. That's the kind of quid pro quo America has always done. Not unless you help me, you'll get the money that Congress appropriated.
All right, look, we all heard the exact same call, or at least saw the same transcript. I did not see a quid pro quo, and I don't know how you did. You can say it is implied. You could say that they
It's in the transcript.
It's not in the transcript. Read the transcript.
This is sad.
And by the way, what's also not in the transcript...
It's sad that we can't even agree when it's in black and white.
No, it's sad that we can't agree on what reality is.
Exactly.
And the hatred of Trump is so great.
It's not that.
I think it distorts people's perception of reality.
See the logic here?
Love is what is
How
distorting.
many people in this audience truly believe Russia undermined our democracy? That's my point. That is a farce.
Because they did.
They did nothing essential, nothing.
But, okay,
they can't undermine our democracy. It's a way too strong democracy. They took out ads in Facebook. That undermined our democracy. Do you understand how pathetic we sound? That's pathetic. We're not a pathetic country.
Well,
Hello?
They did,
Hello?
They did more than that.
That's all
and
they
we'll
did.
See,
Yeah, so what do you call it, Dennis, when a political candidate, i.e. Donald Trump, asks for help from a hostile foreign power, and then that foreign power gives that help? Isn't that collusion?
What are you referring to?
The Internet Research Agency?
Okay, the Internet Research Agency. Okay.
I dealt with all of this disinformation at the State Department.
So,
it was a tsunami of disinformation that they put out.
Let me ask a different question, because
yeah.
that's going to get in the weeds. When you see people like this Bill Taylor,
right.
Okay, this is the deep state, which really means people with resumes who know something. People who've been in public service for decades. This Vindeman, who he came here when he was 3, Ukrainian, served this country, Purple Heart in Iraq, Harvard. When you see people like this, and he's done it before, to Brennan and to Clapper, these people, these lifelong public servants, by the way, mostly conservatives, because that's who gets those kind of jobs.
Brennan,
does that kind of
for
job.
the record, Brennan had voted communist in his earlier years. Just for the record, he is not a conservative. Please, let's return to earth. Brennan is as far left as ever served in his role in the United States
This is the
intelligence.
first I've heard.
He's a liberal.
Oh, really? It is? Okay.
He's a communist?
He was. I'm not saying he is. I said he was.
I don't even remember when they were on the ballot.
All right.
Yeah.
Quite frankly. But, what election was that? Was that? Oh yeah, Clinton and Ross Perot. Right, and Mao. Okay, so.
But guys, that's all Kenny Johnson and Uncle Joey has to hear. Brennan was a communist, and it's confirmed. Because why? They don't care. They don't care what's real, what's true. They don't care about reality. But as we go further into part 2, you're going to see that Prager doesn't. So guys, there you have it. And you see what we have to deal with. And why, when somebody can see something in black and white, why do they challenge it? Why can't they accept it? You know, everything's an interpretation. That's not what I saw. That's not what I heard. Oh, I have a different interpretation. Well, guess what? You can have a different interpretation on everything. But why don't you have an honest one? That's all. Is honesty too much to ask? A lot of times if you're a Republican, yeah. And the next clip we're going to play is Potholder 54. And guys, I know it's a funny name, but this, hey, I didn't choose it. And he's got so many videos, it's unbelievable. But he took Patrick Moore to the woodshed. And how did he do it? By citing his sources, by using facts. And we're going to show you how he did it. And I tell you, you know, facts are like the crosses to Dracula. You know, facts to a conservative is like a crosses to Dracula. They're afraid of them. And like we said on the show before, if you ever want to hide something from a conservative, put it in a science book. He'll never open it. But anyway, let's have some fun with Patrick Moore, Potholder 54, and clip 23. Hit it, Kurt.
So if you haven't already guessed, there's something you need to know about Prager University. It's not a university. PragerU is a political organization founded by Dennis Prager, a conservative talk radio host. It makes 5-minute videos on everything from economics to science, sort of, to religion, including old favorites like I am the Lord your God and if there's no God, murder isn't wrong. Patrick Moore, who you may remember from the weed killer incident. Wait, no, we don't talk about the weed killer incident. Anyway, Patrick Moore has done a number of videos for PragerU, including this one on climate change. Here again is his main argument.
Only constant is change. That's true about life, and it's true about the climate. The climate is always changing, it always has, and it always will.
If this sounds familiar, it's because, like nearly all of Moore's arguments, it comes straight off the blogosphere.
Climate change is a natural phenomenon, always been, but always will be.
The climate has always been changing. There has never been a time when the climate has not changed.
But that's like claiming bacteria can't cause epidemics because there have always been epidemics. Or plate tectonics can't cause earthquakes because there have always been earthquakes. How does the fact that the climate's always changed preclude carbon dioxide as being the cause of that change? Unwittingly, by trying to show that CO2 and climate can't possibly be linked, Moore gives us some good examples of that very link.
The evidence is actually against the hypothesis that we're causing the warming, because there's been warming and cooling cycles all through the history of life, and some of them are longer than others. Like the last ice age before this one was 300 million years ago.
Indeed it was, and studies show that the cause of the last ice age 300 million years ago was a drop in CO2 concentration as carbon dioxide was weathered out of the atmosphere to form limestones and absorbed and buried by forests to form coal. Moore doesn't present any evidence that the studies are flawed, he simply doesn't mention them.
And then it was warm for nearly 300 million years.
Yes, it became warm again when huge quantities of CO2 were pumped into the atmosphere by two flood basalt events called the Siberian Traps and the Central Atlantic Magmatic Province. And since higher levels of carbon dioxide caused warming, the Earth got warmer. It really isn't much of a paradox to people who study this. It fits perfectly well with the role of CO2 as the main driver of long-term climate.
There you go.
So Moore's simple observation that it got colder and then it got warmer is perfectly compatible with the scientific conclusion that it got colder because CO2 levels fell and it got warmer because CO2 levels rose. He's got one more example, which I'm sure will also be compatible, but let's hear it anyway.
Before it's cold again like it is now.
And as you can guess, the cooling trend coincided with a fall in CO2 concentration as carbon dioxide was weathered out of the atmosphere and deposited as calcium carbonate in limestone. So Moore can give as many examples as he likes of changing climate, but none of that is incompatible with the conclusion of researchers that these changes were caused by carbon dioxide. Interestingly, Moore doesn't even try to rebut the mountain of research that shows CO2 is the cause of these changes in climate. He doesn't even refer to it. So we can cross that argument off the list. Next, we come to the weed killer incident.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no, sorry, I forgot. We must never mention the weed killer incident.
We must never mention it? Well, that's exactly why we're going to mention it. Because, guys, you're going to see what a paid whore Patrick Moore really is. And he'll do anything to make a buck. And he went over the line with this next clip, and we've shown this before, but it's so much fun. We're going to play it again. So, Kurt, 24.
Do not believe that glyphosate in Argentina is causing increases in cancer. You can drink a whole quart of it and it won't hurt you.
You want to drink some? We have some here.
I'd be happy to, actually, but not
Oh,
really.
good.
Not really?
I know it wouldn't hurt me.
If you say so, I have some glyphosate.
No, I'm not stupid.
Ah, okay.
You're not stupid?
No, but I know
It's dangerous,
I
right?
know,
Then why'd
I know
you
people
say
try to
it?
commit suicide with it and
let's
fail fairly regularly.
Tell the truth.
It's not dangerous to humans. No, it's not.
So you're ready to drink one glass of
No,
glyphosate?
I'm not an idiot. Interview me about golden rice. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, then it's finished. Then the interview is finished.
That's a good way to solve things.
Yeah. You're a complete jerk.
So he gets up and he walks out of the interview. Why? Because he got busted. And we like, guys, that's one of the best parts of the show. You're busted. And anyway, Kurt, we got that little thing up there, right? But anyway, Can't find it. You can't find it? Ah, Kurt's having a tough time. Kurt can't hit that curveball. I'm giving him the business. We put it up today, but it's like anything else. You know, we're learning here. And I tell you, Kurt's a good man. He shows up all the time. He tries his best, and that's all There you go. See that? He can hit a curveball. All right. But guys, we're going to have some more fun now with What If I Told You? And this is what the fossil fuel industry and PragerU, so you can kind of see who's financing them. And although PragerU doesn't take direct payments like Trump University did, they do ask for donations. So, but anyway, I won't ask for a donation, but I'll ask for you to subscribe to the show. So if you're enjoying, hit the subscribe button. And in the meantime, we're going to have more fun with What If I Told You, and just listen to the way that PragerU is going to try to spin this nonsense. So Kurt, number 25, please.
What if I told you that someone had developed an energy source that could help us solve our biggest environmental challenges, purify our water and air, make our cities and homes more sanitary, and keep us safe from potential catastrophic climate change?
I'd love you.
What if I also told you that this energy source was cheap, plentiful, and reliable?
Come on.
Well, there is such a source. You probably know it as fossil fuel.
Oh.
Oil, natural gas,
I think
coal.
he's trying to pull my chain here, guys.
Don't fossil fuels pollute our environment and make our climate unlivable? That, of course, is what we're told and what our children are taught. But let's look at the data.
What our children
Here's
are
a graph
taught.
you've probably never seen.
We're going to show
The
you what our
correlation
children are
between
taught
use
on
of
the next
fossil
clip.
fuels and access to clean water. More fossil fuel, more clean water. Am I saying the more that we have used fossil fuel, the cleaner our water has become? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. In the developed world, we take clean water for granted.
You can
we
say
turn on a
whatever
tap,
you want.
and it's there.
What can you
But
prove?
getting it there takes a massive amount of energy. Think of the man-made reservoirs, the purification plants, the network of pipes. In the undeveloped world, it's a much different story. They lack the energy, so they lack clean water. More fossil fuel, more clean water. The same is true
See
of
how simple
sanitation.
that is, guys?
By the use of cheap, plentiful, and reliable energy from fossil fuels, we have made our environment cleaner. Take a look at this graph. More fossil fuel, better sanitation.
Look at that.
Okay, what about air quality?
Unbelievable,
Here's
huh?
a graph of the air pollution trends in the United States over the last half century, based on data from the Environmental Protection Agency. Note the dramatic downward trend in emissions, even though we use more fossil fuel than ever.
Reversed what?
How is this achieved?
You got
Above
it.
all, by using anti-pollution technology.
We were heading in
powered
the right
by
direction,
fossil
and then
fuel,
along came
oil,
Trump.
natural gas, and coal. But even without modern pollution control technology, fossil fuel makes our air cleaner.
Of
Indoor
course
pollution,
it does.
caused by burning a fire inside your house, cabin, hut, or tent to cook and keep warm, was a deadly global problem until the late 19th century, when cheap kerosene, a fossil fuel byproduct, became available in America and Europe. Indoor pollution is still a major issue in the developing world today. The best solution? Fossil fuel.
Guys, the best solution is biogas. And if you follow the show, you'd know that those African huts, they could use the gas from the biogas, and they can operate a 1-unit burning stove for over 2 hours a day with absolutely no pollution whatsoever, no ill effects. But guys, I didn't have time to put this clip together. But if you look at some of the older shows, you know, if you look at Home Bio, I'm telling you, I'll try to get it up on Facebook when I post the show, so that, guys, when you see how you can just take table scraps and just stuff that you were going to put into the garbage, you put it into their special container, it starts to ferment like it's in a cow's belly. It creates methane gas, and then you burn the gas. And I tell you, with this home bio gas, I'm telling you, these things are dynamite. And, you know, we've done a few shows on them. And I heard, I'm not sure, but Dave told me today that in the mayoral debate, Mark Boughton spoke about some form of biogas and putting, either fueling our trucks with natural gas from biogas. Well, I'm not sure, but he just told me today, because remember, I went to the sewer plant, and I think maybe I ignited a spark which got the gas going. But we'll see. Maybe that'll be our next show. But anyway, we're going to go to the next clip. And let's see. This is going to be part 2 now. So, Kurt, number 26.
The best solution? Fossil fuel.
Bull.
And now we come to the biggest fossil fuel concern of all, global warming. On this very sensitive topic, we need to get our terms straight.
Now you're going to tell me it doesn't cause
There's
global
a big
warming,
difference between mild global warming and catastrophic
there's
global
a
warming.
difference?
We can all agree on that, right?
We can?
The issue isn't, does burning fossil fuel have some warming impact?
Without a doubt.
The issue is the climate warming dangerously fast?
You got it.
In 1986, NASA climate scientist James Hansen, one of the world's most prominent critics of the use of fossil fuels, predicted that if current trends are unchanged, temperatures would rise 2 to 4 degrees in the first decade of the 2000s.
Okay.
But as you can see from this graph, since 2000, the trend line is essentially flat.
Bull.
Little or no warming in the
Bull.
last 15 years.
Kurt, get a
That's
chart
probably
ready.
why we hear
Let's
much
show
less
that
talk
this is
about
bull.
global warming and much more
We got
talk
a bunch
about
of charts.
climate
We'll play them right after this
Has this
clip.
climate change made our world more dangerous?
Nice, Kurt.
The key statistic here, one that is unfortunately almost never mentioned, is climate-related deaths.
Guys, while he's talking,
That is,
Kurt's going to
how
play
many
these
people die
clips,
each
and
year
you tell me.
from a climate-related cause.
I mean, he's going to play
including
these
droughts,
stills.
floods,
Look at this.
storms, and extreme
These
temperatures.
are all new stills from
In the
NASA.
last 80 years, as CO2 emissions have rapidly escalated, the annual rate of
Kurt,
climate-related
go back to that
deaths
last
worldwide
clip he just
has
had
rapidly
on
declined
and show him the
by
real,
98%.
not the one with the blue
The
one.
reason is that the energy from
With
fossil
the
fuel
CO2.
has allowed the developed world to
chart's a
build
little
a
bit
durable
different than the one he
civilization.
showed, isn't it?
One highly resilient
I wonder why
to extreme
that
heat,
is.
extreme cold, floods,
Could he be
storms,
trying to
and
trick
so on.
us?
The developing
that
world,
right.
where natural disasters can still wreak terrible havoc, would like the chance to do the same. But to do that, they will need a lot more energy. The cheapest, fastest, and easiest way to get that energy is from fossil fuels.
Wrong.
In sum, fossil fuels don't take a naturally safe environment and make it dangerous. They empower us to take a naturally dangerous environment and make it cleaner and safer. I'm Alex Epstein of the Center for Industrial Progress for Prager University.
To subscribe to our YouTube channel, click here.
There. See, guys, everybody wants you to subscribe. And then he goes further and he says, if you want to donate, here's where you donate to. But, you know, you have to stand there and make this video. What does that say about your integrity? I mean, when you're trying to go out and trick people like Uncle Joey and Kenny and Eddie Shalhoub and all the other boneheads, well, what personal satisfaction does it give you to do that? And guys, the next clip we're going to play, let's see, we're running out of time. We got 7 minutes. But you know what? Greta is worth our time. So we might be able to get both clips in. So this is Greta Thunberg, and this is what our kids think about global warming and how people like her are going to make such a difference. So Kurt, 27, please.
People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you?
That a girl.
Because if you really understood the situation and still kept on failing to act, then you would be evil, and that I refuse to believe.
They are
The
evil.
popular idea of cutting our emissions in half in 10 years only gives us a 50% chance of staying below 1.5 degrees and the risk of setting off irreversible chain reactions beyond human control. How dare you pretend that this can be solved with just business as usual and some technical solutions? There will not be any solutions or plans presented in line with these figures here today, because these numbers are too uncomfortable and you are still not mature enough to tell it like it is. You are failing us, but the young people are starting to understand your betrayal. The eyes of all future generations are upon you. And if you choose to fail us, I say we will never forgive you. We will not let you get away with this. Right here, right now, is where we draw the line.
Atta girl.
The world is waking up. And change is coming whether you like it or not.
All right.
Carbon emissions are rising, and faster than most scientists predicted.
Job.
But many climate change alarmists seem to claim that all climate change is worse than expected. This ignores that much of the data is actually more encouraging than expected.
Please
Yes,
stop.
Arctic
Please
sea ice is
stop.
melting faster than models expected. But models also predicted that Antarctic sea ice would decrease. Yet Antarctic sea ice is increasing.
I don't know
yes,
about
sea
that.
levels are rising, but the rise is not accelerating. If anything, two recent papers, one by Chinese scientists
recent
published in
papers?
January
Where were they
2014 and
Were
the
they
other by
peer
U.S. scientists
reviewed?
published
Were
in
they
May
written by
2013,
global?
have shown a small
Were they written by
decline in the rate of sea
climate
level
scientists?
increase.
What papers?
We're often being told that we're seeing more and more droughts, but a study published in March 2014 in the journal Nature actually shows a decrease in the world's surface that has been afflicted by droughts since
that's as plain as the
1982.
nose on my face,
Facts
huh?
like these are important because a one-sided
Facts.
focus on worst-case stories is a poor foundation for sound policies.
And that's what you do. You give us the worst case scenario so that you can trick the simple folk and get them to panic. And guys, we're going to play part 2 of Greta, and then we'll see where we end up with that and how much time we have. So Kurt, 28, please.
Facts like these are important because a one-sided focus on worst-case stories is a poor foundation for sound policies. Hurricanes are likewise used as an example of things getting worse. But look at the US, where we have the best statistics. If we adjust for population and wealth, hurricane damage during the period of 1900 to 2013 actually decreased slightly. At the UN Climate Conference in Lima, Peru in December 2014, attendees were told that their countries should cut carbon emissions to avoid future damage from storms like Typhoon Hagupit, which hit the Philippines during the conference, killing at least 21 people and forcing more than 1 million into shelters. Yet the trend for strong typhoons around the Philippines have actually declined since 1950, according to a study published in 2012 by the Journal of Climate. Again, we're told that all things are getting worse, but the
Nice
facts
job,
don't
Kurt.
support this. This does not mean global warming is not real or a problem, but the one-sided story of alarmism makes us
Guys, I
lose
want to
focus.
thank
If
everybody.
we want to help the world's poor,
hope
we're the
we
most
made a few
threatened by
points.
natural
I hope you
disasters.
enjoyed
It's
the
less
show.
about cutting carbon emissions.
Next week,
than it
I'll
is
try to play the clip from PragerU with the 97% consensus. And then I want to look into that biogas. See you next week, everybody.